Pharma's not facing a wave, we're staring down a tsunami. Gen AI isn't just a shiny new tool, it's the demolition crew and the rebuild team. And medical affairs, well, we're ready, but navigating the maze with a map that's drawn in pencil. In this episode of Off Label, Gareth Worthington and Kate Eversole rip up the status quo, tackling the fear, the friction and the myths that have been slowing us all down. And just when it feels like chaos, a new live-streamed event is ready to show medical just how to get unstuck and fast. Also one for the book lovers. Let's go. Hey, Gareth, welcome to Off Label. Very excited about this chat because it's a topic that's on everybody's lips at the moment and it really needs to be straightened out on some fronts. And I'm hoping you two can get the iron and put the AI on the iron board and let's get a few things right. So, Gareth, I want to first kick off with you, leaning on your industry's experience and your role. Let's just cut straight through the fat here. Where is medical affairs really struggling when it comes to Gen AI right now?
Wow, that's a poor question. For me, I think it's always adoption. So the biggest thing, the problem I see is that trying to shoehorn in a tool into an existing model as opposed to reevaluating the model with the advent of AI, because AI is more than just a tool these days. It's not just another thing to add to your armamentarium. It's a completely different way of working. And so we need to really completely rethink how we're doing everything and that's everything in the value chain. That's from the content creation, where Gen AI can play a role, content approval, where AI can play a role, and then at the point of contact with the MSL and the doctor, where AI can play a role. And the governance of that and the skill set required to make that end-to-end work is vastly different. And I wouldn't just say that's medical affairs. I'd say that's across the whole of pharma, even in commercial, to be honest. And I think that's where we struggle. It's that we think AI is going to solve a specific problem as opposed to let's rework our complete way of thinking.
I think everyone can resonate with that because you get these nice shiny tools and vendors or solution providers going, hey, look what this does. And even at several events I've been to in the last little while, it's talking about, AI is the tool to do this and you use it to do that. But you're absolutely correct. It's a mindset that needs to completely change in order to integrate rather than just
absolutely.
You're in clearance, so you're the most popular guy in the company. Everyone waits with bated breath for your emails to return to them when they think they're about to solve the world's problems. But when it comes to the industry, what's the skinny? What's the 411 when it comes to fear and even resistance around using AI in roles and companies that are traditionally science and compliance based?
Yeah. I mean, look, my entire department is basically risk-based evaluation, right? And so that's a nasty word in the industry anyway, because what is risk? Risk is often based on rules and regulations at a country level, which are paramount. There's also an element of personal, I don't like this, and that can be very much dependent across colleagues, right? One colleague's like, oh, I'm okay with it. Another colleague's like, I don't know. That kind of, it worries me a little bit. And so, where AI comes in is you've got to standardizing this a little bit, but that can make people nervous, particularly at a country level. And I think this is where we forget often these tools are thought of at a global level, but really a lot of the risk lies locally. And so, when you got the ABPI in the UK, you've got a named signatory, and it's that named signatory that feels personally responsible for the content, right? It's the same with IFA in Italy or the French regulation, the RIP in Belgium. So the risk tends to feel like it's lying with a single person. And so that single person takes their job very seriously, understandably.
Yeah.
And so when you're introducing something where you're suggesting automation, they can get nervous. So again, I'm back to the mindset and the value chain from global to the customer. It's like, where are we using AI and in what capacity are we using it? We're not suggesting replacing people. We're suggesting how we make that faster, smoother, more efficient, more consistent.
The concern's got to be very real. And the accountability now is so much more serious and at a deeper level than it ever was.
Yeah.
It's kind of trivializes the concern around social media a little while ago when you did have kind of control over at least what you're putting out there and the huge reluctance and reservations there were to engage on that in that medium. And now you've got a beast which is entirely something that people don't even understand really.
And I just, echo that, Steve. I was like, I think this is the introduction of Gen AI and AI is huge, but it does remind me of all the work I did a long time ago around social media in terms of what you were saying, Gareth, needing a governance like first and center, in terms of people using tools that weren't really sure how they work, people putting content through review that didn't necessarily know how social media worked. A lot of what I used to do in agency was like working with reviewers to understand how the targeting worked, because especially with the ABPI, you need to make sure you're targeting these people in a specific way as possible. So I do see a lot of similarities to the work we did maybe a decade ago in social media.
I don't think I've really spoken that much about those comparisons, because more often than not, a lot of companies was just, don't touch it. It's too hard, too much of a minefield. But that sort of at least mindset is different now. Even though the potential and pitfalls are greater, there's a greater willingness to be involved. It's just figuring out.
Well, I think everyone across the board, everyone that I speak to that's in pharma and is in a role in pharma, everyone's like, AI adoption is here. And I guess the question is like, how sensibly, how quickly is everyone going to upskill in their AI literacy? That seems to be like, we're all going for it. It's not like social media where we're just not going to use social. This is the way the world's going, but it's sort of kind of how. And I think to Gareth's earlier point, it's not a tool that, do you know what? I'm just going to plug this in and it's going to make some content. It's bigger than that. And where does it fit in? What tools are we using for which user cases, and how are we upskilled, and how are we upskilled regularly? Someone that I know really well is the head of Gen AI at ITV, which is a TV network in the UK. He upskills the whole team, like across the whole of ITV. There's training once a week on Gen AI. It's not like a once a quarter and then we forget about it. It's changing so much, and it's so fundamental to the way the world of work is moving. That's how much they're invested in it. And I haven't seen that yet in a pharma company. Like, I may be wrong, but I haven't seen that level of training.
Yeah, there's an Australian managing director of Novartis who's gone all in on Copilot. Everyone's got it at the top level, and he actually tracks everyone's use of it. And if someone's not using it, he's on the phone to a GP rep out in the field going, you need to get on this. If you don't, it's unlikely you'll be here in a few years' time. It's just not because people don't like you or you're not good. It's just because you won't be good enough without it. So it's a really interesting, it certainly goes to show that, like a lot of things, it's leadership driven. Gareth, back to you. Myths fly around this industry at a rate of astonishing rate of knots sometimes. What are the myths? Is there a common myth that you've seen floating around about AI in pharma, and especially in medical affairs?
I guess there's two. So one we've just talked about, which is the myth you can just plug and play. You just put it in and off it goes. For me, not only there's an upskilling thing, there's a fundamental database and a foundation of information that you need to make it work, right? So one of the biggest challenges we have is that database and that foundation. And a good example would be AI and MLR, right? So AI and MLR needs to be trained. It needs to be trained on a data set that is clean. But getting that data set is country specific because again, country regulations. So now what you've got is the need to have people locally who can train that AI, maintain that AI, make sure your library of whatever is clean. That's a whole set of people, right? But that's not what's happening. What's happening is, let's plug in AI. We can actually reduce the number of people we have. We can reduce, no. You got to invest first and then you're going to get savings, but not for a while yet. That's one myth for me. And I think,
can I ask you a question on Gareth? Because what I've seen, and I may be like totally wrong, but in like R&D, they're doing this really, really well. They're able to find new patients. They're able to find new things. Would you say that's because they're set up differently or their data's cleaner?
Those are still more centrally controlled. So it's R&D still globally controlled. They might be finding patients locally, but the setup, the database is held at global, right? Your clinical database, those kind of things, generally speaking. Whereas when you're talking about content for an MSL or a salesperson in a country, Now you're talking about, your core claims, let's say for a core visual aid, your core claims at a global level are not the same, even if they're thematically the same. In Germany, you've got a language barrier, and then you've got a slight nuance to what that core claim says. So I can't train the local AI on global claims. It makes no sense. I have to train them on local claims, but that means I need the local team to take them, translate them, approve them, have it all clean and ready, that database. And I have to do that in 34 countries. It's not quite as simple. I'm not saying R&D is simple in any way, but I'm just saying is the nuance and the language barrier and all those things can make it quite difficult. And the risk is higher because you're putting stuff out there and proactively or without necessarily reactively communicating with HCPs, and your risk goes up exponentially. So it's just tougher. I think the other myth for me, so we talked about like the infrastructure thing, is that med affairs is harder. I actually find commercial harder because commercial is proactive engagement, right? So the risk for a salesperson going out there with a Gen AI generated piece of content that hasn't been through a person, you've just had it approved through AI, or they've done it on the fly, points of contact, and generated something that's not been approved. That's scarier. MSLs and medical affairs is actually under governance, even, from local countries that says, 9 times out of 10 that the MSL is reacting to a question. And that's a very one-to-one interaction. Your risk is lower because you're not promoting your product. You're not discussing those kinds of things. So for me, actually, there's more room in medical affairs to do Gen AI, build your stuff up front and have those interactions. So yeah, I think for me, this is personal, right? I mean, this is not a company statement. This is my personal
No, of course.
opinion.
We'll put a disclaimer in there somewhere. I think everybody presumes it. I don't know. When it comes to myths, somebody told me that all this AI was going to free up my time and I'd be playing golf once or twice a week. But all I feel like is it's just allowed me to do twice as much as what I was doing before and have even less free time. So I don't know what's going on. We'll hopefully figure it out soon. Obviously, we're at a point where the challenges are significant. What that we're facing as an industry regarding Gen AI, but I think we can all agree that the potential is limitless. So it sounds like what we need is a spark or some type of catalyst that can help put the industry, get us onto the right path, and that's what we're going to talk about right now. So, Kate, on October 23 this year, something pretty exceptional is going to happen for Mind, and it's an event called Accelerating Medical Affairs, and by your company, Pharma Brands. A huge component of this event, from what I'm led to believe, is going to focus on AI specifically, Gen AI. So let's take this opportunity now to take a bit of a deeper dive into this event and learn a bit more about it and how it's come about. So first off, how'd the idea for this event come about?
I love the language around a spark. So thanks, because that's like exactly what we try to do. So at Pharma Brands, we do education, support, inspiration for those in commercial roles. So whether that's marketing, sales, communications. And like we've been talking about, I don't think there's any bigger change in my lifetime than Gen AI. And like one of the big priorities we have is around improving AI literacy for everyone in those functions. And I guess why medical? We run our flagship event is one in Europe around Gen AI for commercial roles. And this year, Gareth came actually. Thank you, Gareth. But on the agenda, a lot of people attended from medical roles. So it was obviously brand marketing, but there was a lot of medical that attended and a lot of medical. So the conversation went towards a bit of a medical slant. So when we were there, we were talking to people. And I think the general consensus was, to your earlier point around myths, people are scared to use it. People feel the risk more than maybe in some other functions because of that final SIG piece. So there was a lot of specific topics in a Gen AI, but for medical. So we kind of wanted to dive a little deeper to support those groups rather than kind of the big event where we talk maybe a little bit more high level about the issues.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, it's interesting. I've noticed the same thing. There's a lot of interest from medical affairs. I think because of the potential, because of the huge data sets and things like that people are dealing with, the opportunities there are obviously extraordinarily significant. in saying that, this event's obviously medical affairs focused. Is there any particular role within medical affairs who this event will be designed for, and what's the kind of transformation you're hoping to spark with this event?
Well,
to use that phrase
kind of
again.
how we put these together is there's 3 things that we try to do to try and, 1, make people have a good time, get that spark, because if you've got you have a good time, you're more likely to remember things. And 2, we want them to learn some things. We always get asked for examples. So whether that's showing a case study, but also showing what went wrong, what was painful, try to do that. 2, we try to give people some frameworks and some tools. So it's not just kind of a talk and shop. And 3, one of the things we really try to do is get that outside in perspective. So I guess from a kind of framework point of view, we've got Emma, who's coming from Amgen, who's awesome, and she's been working a lot on piloting Gen AI.
Is it?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, you're onto a good thing there.
Yeah, exactly. She's awesome, and she's been piloting Gen AI for different user cases. So she's going to discuss that, but she's also going to show a framework for how she's assessed these, how she's validated these, and also to the theme of this conversation, the onboarding piece, because without the onboarding and constant training, no one's going to use it. So you've got that kind of user case plus something you can go away and use, her framework. And then the other thing we all need to get better at is prompting. Prompting changes all the time because the tools change all the time. And we've got the head of Gen AI from ITV. He's going to be doing live demos. He's going to be showcasing examples. He's going to give you a bit of context on how these work. And we'll be walking all of those through live. So you'll be able to do some live training on the day. Paul's also going to be joined by someone from pharma so that we've got that outside in perspective, but we're making sure that we're kind of managing that with what we can do in a regulated environment. So you'll get a real hands-on session there. So yeah, hopefully that's 2 examples of how it's.
Yeah, I mean, often the industry, when you do bring in outside voices for outside lenses, everyone's like, you don't get it, it's not pharma. But in this case, there is a willingness from the industry to bring in those outside voices and see what's happening, to then apply the pharma lens to it and see what's possible from merging the two approaches.
I think we talked about this at your last event, Kate. I think the issue is that with all the willingness in the world from pharma, and there really, really is that the external environment is still 20 years behind, right? You look at ABPI rules or FDA rules on social media, it hasn't been updated in 10 years, right? It's way behind. And so we still have that problem in AI right now. The external regulatory bodies have got no idea how to handle it. So, you still require in the US them to submit commercial content to the FDA before first use.
Yeah.
That means everything Gen AI points of contact is kind of a no-no, because you have to submit it first. So that kind of already kills one stream of possibility. So I really think as an industry, we need to get together and work with these regulatory bodies to understand AI in general. So I'm talking about it's not a tool. This is a completely different way of thinking and working, not just for us, but for those bodies too. And I think if we can get in the future, Kate, someone involved from ABPI or someone to talk, would be great, because I'd love to have that part.
Yeah, 100%.
It's actually critical, really, when you think about it, to have them in the room or even leading the conversation. Yeah. So it sounds like we've got a fair bit going on at this event. Lots of different. You've got frameworks, outside voices, also tools, workshopping skill sets. What do you want attendees to feel after they leave the next day? Do you want them to feel confident, curious, sad the event's over, a little less freaked out?
No, inspired. Everything we try to do at Pharma Brands is give people a bit of oomph, a bit of confidence. You're not going to win in a day, but hopefully we can give you some ideas, we can give you some examples, and we can give you some next steps. So kind of clear with what they want to do next and excited. So they're the 2 things we want people to leave with.
Sounds like it definitely, you're on the right track for that one from what I can understand. Now, we like to tie things off with a little bit of fun on every off-label podcast, and today's going to be no exception to the rule. Gareth, I understand that you're a published author, and I like to consider myself reasonably professional, but I didn't do my background research. I haven't read anything yet, but it's on my agenda from now. So to play on your side, I won't say side hustle, but other interests and skill sets. If this event were to be a novel, what genre what type would this one be?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of actually ties into what I write. So I'm a bit like Michael Crichton. So I write science-based thrillers. So take the scientific concept and take it a step further. So for me, this would definitely be a Michael Crichton style thriller about, the pharmaceutical industry and Gen AI for sure. That means that's got reams and reams of ability and story behind that. So that easy to write, I would say.
Sounds like a serious page turner right there. Kate, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I'd go similar. I think some of those sci-fi, like we never expected a world like this where you can, the stuff it can do now. And I think we're not even halfway there yet. But the stuff it can do now, the efficiencies it gives me in my day to day, you could never imagine. So yeah, I'd go something sci-fi, imagining a different world.
I love it. I think that I'll just sort of add for the new avatars coming out soon too. There's lots of stuff happening in this space. Hey, so we know the event's on the 23rd of October. What else do the listeners or viewers need to know about to sign up and get involved?
It's free. Yeah, it's a free event, which is awesome. So a huge thanks to our speakers and our sponsors who've made it happen. So yes, sign up. It's free. It's for medical affairs. It's all around Gen AI. Check the agenda out. We try to cover some of the work that you'd be doing, whether that's MSL training, whether that's content creation, whether it's setting up with some of these pilots, whether that's Congress activities. So some of the work that people are kind of delivering at the moment, we talk about those topics as well.
Awesome. Well, sounds like it's going to be a winner. It is live streamed as well?
Yep. It's all live streamed. Yep.
It's all live streamed?
Yeah.
Even better. Well, that makes it very useful for people. Count me in. I'll be signed up. I'll have my coffee on hand to keep my eyes open. It'll be a little late where I am, but I probably won't need it. I'm sure Gareth's contributions will be enough to keep me on the edge of my seat as it is. Thanks so much, guys, for joining me. It's been a wonderful chat. Everyone get around this one. Sounds like it's one that shouldn't be missed. Have a good one.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks. Bye.